Shrewd Manager Christianity's Positions. First, the head wounds on the shroud fit the Gospels. Second, the crown of thorns was unique to Jesus. Third, a feature in the image may tie the shroud to Jesus' time in the 1st century. The Gospels report that soldiers twisted a crown of thorns and pounded it on Jesus' head. Here are dozens of puncture wounds showing that the shroud image matches the Gospels. There is very good reason to conclude the crown torture was unique to Jesus, tailored specifically to match one of the charges levied against him. In all 4 Gospels, Pilate asked him if he was a king. Pilate even had a sign affixed to the cross, calling Jesus King of the Jews. By contrast, there's no reason to expect that crowns of thorns were typical punishment for crucifixions. Most other victims of crucifixion were felons, slaves, defeated enemy soldiers, and traitors. Why would any of them wear a crown? The historical record supports this reasonable conclusion, that the crown is unique to Jesus. These 2 scholars state that it was not typical for Romans to crown victims of crucifixion. Another scholar is more definitive. Among historical records, only one person was ever reported to be punished with a crown of thorns, namely the mocking of Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth, as King of the Jews. Additional support is referenced in the footnotes. So historical evidence and simple reasoning both support the conclusion that the crown marks uniquely identify the shroud man with Jesus. One side note, the Gospels don't describe the crown, so portraying it is up to artists' imaginations. Even a cursory search shows that the custom for centuries has been to show Jesus wearing a circle crown. Look at this sampling of images, covering 300 years from about 1230 to 1530. The shroud man, conversely, wore a helmet crown. Look closely at these photos. These exhibits count at least 35 puncture wounds, which encompass the top third of the man's head, like a cap. If the shroud is the work of a medieval artist, intended to satisfy a medieval audience, it's puzzling why it is such an outlier from centuries of medieval Western tradition. Historical portraiture offers intriguing evidence that may solve this puzzle. Here are pictures of the medieval kings of France. Notice almost all have ringlet crowns. Now look at ancient kings of Parthia. During Jesus' time, Rome and Parthia battled over the Levant. Almost all these royals wear caps. None have ringlet crowns. Perhaps these pictures give us the answer why the shroud man wears a cap of thorns and not a circle. The Roman soldiers fashioned a crown from kings they were familiar with, one that conforms to the ancient Eastern tradition, not the medieval Western one. Next, another example where the shroud image strays from centuries of artistic convention. It might surprise you to see which one, the shroud or long-standing artistic tradition, gets it right, medically speaking.